Today I'm going to show you 3 builds that I'm making a killing on in my local area at the moment. I'm selling these on my stall and also on Facebook Marketplace. These are all beginner level builds, but if you've got the skills to kick this onto the intermediate level, then you can adapt these any way you want. The first thing I'm going to make is a jigsaw piece. This piece is going to have some writing on, thanking the teacher for what they've done. I've got a nice big piece of tulip wood. I'm going to start breaking this down into thinner pieces of stock. Once the stock's broken down, I'm going to use a template that I've made on my laser. These are quick and easy to make. If you've not got a laser, you can buy these online out of acrylic for a couple of pounds. Nice and easy. So once we're flat and smooth, it's time to mark out how big our shapes are. There's nothing worse than cutting your stock down only to figure out that you've not got enough left to make the piece that you want to make. And with everyone's favourite double-sided sticky tape, you apply your template on top and then route around the edge using a pattern bit. And once you've been round all 4 sides, you have one complete jigsaw piece. Now just to put some lettering on. Now on this project, I know I'm going to be using a laser at times. I do that because I've got one. But before I had a laser, I used to use pens. I used to draw on the designs that I like, or the wording, and then I would put a clear coat of varnish over the top. These items used to sell nearly as well as the lasered versions, and I know this because this is how I pay for my laser. So I've in fact made 2 sets of these. The first, as you've seen, was completely with the router and doing things handheld. The second I've cut and engraved on the laser. I don't have a preference for either, both have their merits. I always love something being handmade. But the great thing with the laser is it's like having an employee. It can be doing one job whilst you do another. Looking now at the finished item on the stall, and I think these look great. I sold 6 of these on the day at £5 each. So project number 2 is some art display boards. These are fantastic for putting up those paintings and drawings that your kids bring home from nursery and school. Now the original ones of these that I did was pine from a pallet with some vinyl lettering over the top. They looked okay, but they weren't great, so I'm going to try pimp these up now with some hardwood and laser engravings. The saying is quite easy. It can change from an I or a we, and if you want to charge a little bit more, you can make this personalised by putting a child's name in there and charging that little bit more for your time. It's a key thing about selling things as a beginner is hitting the right audience for the products that you're going to bring with you. Once you've set your table saw up, run your piece of wood through, and it's that simple to turn 2 boards into 3. Well, that and a little bit of glue. So once we've got a nice amount of coverage, it's onto the universal glue spreader. Yes, that's right, it's a right index finger. Always where you left it last, always hand it and on tap to help spread that glue out. A couple of clamps and a few hours later and this thing is at the perfect size. There's nothing difficult with this project, it's just about running through a couple of quick simple steps. Now the advantage I had with this cherry was that it came pre-finished. It was planed on all 4 sides. The only reason I'm sanding this piece, quite frankly, is because I glued it back together. Once I'm happy with the finish, I put a slight round over on. I love just knocking down all the edges on a workpiece. I think it makes it just look that next level. A tiny bit of hand sanding later, and we're on to the lasering. Like I said, I've got a laser, so this is what I like to use, but you can order vinyl sayings for only a few pounds each. Again, it'll keep your cost down to under £5 a board. Considering that you're going to be able to charge 15, or certainly I can in my area, that's a nice profit for what is an hour's work to make 3 boards. These little T-slot hooks are fantastic. I buy these by the hundreds, and when you do that, they work out at pence. It really doesn't add any sort of cost to your project, but finishes the piece off because everyone wants a piece that they can take home and hang straight away. A small amount of leftover webbing is used to attach the pictures. Nothing difficult here, just 3 staples on each side, keeps it nice and easy. Now I think this project's come out rather great. The cherry has come up fantastic with a little bit of wipe-on poly, and the timing for 3 boards is less than an hour. On the day at the market store, because it was outside, I was able to get these hung up, and I added some artwork for my little girl to really hammer home the point of what these boards were about. On the day I sold 3, that's £45 worth of revenue, and I've spent less than £10 making all 3. That's a nice bit of profit for a beginner level project. So project 3 is these candle holders. Nice and simple, but sell really, really well. And the great thing is, if you want to take these to an intermediate level, you can put some branding or wording on the front, something like love or live, laugh, live, laugh, live, love, laugh, live. Anything that you see in the homeware stores around your area, you can easily recreate on this project. These are a great little maker because they don't take much time. And once you make a template, then you're off and away. You can make this repeatable, and it's quick and it's easy. It sells well, and the price point is perfect. A smaller one will come in at £5 on my stall, ranging up to £10. If somebody really wanted it engraving with some personalised details, then I'd be looking at £15 for that extra 10 minutes work. What a great little earner these are. These things are full of potential, and I urge you not to overlook simple little projects like these. So this project kicks off with the basics that we always have. We've got to mark out how big we want something. As always, I like to use an existing piece or a template. It keeps things simple, it gives consistency, and it allows you to save time. Once we've cut down this tulip wood, it's into the planer. Now if you've not got a wood muncher like this is one of the pieces that you need to be saving up for first, because this takes every project to the next level and saves so much time. So out comes the existing stock to make some marks, and then we're going to cut this down with a chop saw. I'm going to make 2 at this thickness. I'm then going to take the 3rd piece, run it back through the table saw and make it slim. The popular saying says that variety is the spice of life, but forget that, variety is the key to sales in a small marketplace. There's no point having 10 of the exact same thing, because you can guarantee someone will like the concept but not maybe that exact design. Keeping lots of different pieces will help you increase your sales, grow your tools, and also get repeat customers as they understand that you can make different things for different occasions. Now I must have used this template about 10 times now. The amount of time that this saves me in production is unbelievable. Yes, I make mine on lasers, but you could make this by measuring once and making it out of a piece of scrap MDF or plywood, and it would do just the same job. This allows, like I'm doing here, just to get the markings done, and then I can remove the template and freehand this. Now this is where a drill press would have come in real handy. If you're eagle-eyed enough, you can see that the drill bit slips and I scuffed the piece. This is why I've not ended up with exact pieces of 3. I've ended up later on with 2s and 1s because I had to chop out the mistakes to salvage the project. But never give up, always keep adapting. You'll be amazed at how that helps with your variety. And this is how it looked on the stall. I was absolutely made up. Another top sales tip is to get some electric candles, that way you're not setting off any fire alarms if you're inside. Now I thought I would put a little segment in about where to buy wood, because there are some savings to be made for the beginners like ourselves who want to turn around small products for a little bit of profit to grow our workshops. We've all been there, haven't we? The apprehension before going into a proper wood store. I went into one just a couple of months ago and it was clear that the lad behind the counter was enjoying the fact that I didn't have a clue what he were on about. So my top tip for yourselves is to find a furniture maker that's local to you. I've got a company down the road that makes drawer boxes. That's all they do, and they make it out of hardwood. But some of the wood that they order isn't quite fit for their purpose. They put it outside in a scrap container and sell it to hobbyists like me and most likely you. This is great because it's downgraded in price terrifically. You probably can't see how big this piece is, but this is American oak and that has cost me £6. This piece comes in at 1m20 long, 20 centimetres wide and 20mm deep. The thing that you might not be able to see is that it's got a horrific amount of bow in it. No good for a professional company, but someone like myself who will just chop this into smaller pieces, it'll lose that bow in no time. £6 for a piece like this is an absolute bargain, and I can turn this £6 board into around £100, no dramas. Other place I like to shop for hardwood is Facebook Marketplace. Now hear me out here, I never go to any of the sellers, but what I do is I look for people that are getting rid of furniture cheap. Dining tables are my favourites. I've got 2 at the moment. I've got an oak one that I've just broke down and I'll be using the legs in the next project. And I've also got one out of mango, which is really nice, really rare, and both came in at a grand total of £0. So we're into the home straight now with the final project, and this is made out of the previously mentioned oak table legs. Cost £0, profit depends on what you want to charge. So the first part of project 4 is going to be an oak chopping board. This is going to be a simple rectangle, nice square edges, as chunky as I can make it, quick and easy, a high profit. The second one is going to be a charcuterie board that's going to have a design similar to that of a meat cleaver. Again, adding variety to the products that I have brings in more customers. It gives me more opportunity to engage as well with the people that are coming up to my stall. You never know when you might get that request for a custom order. So the first part is to finish breaking down this table leg, because I've never seen a right angle chopping board. Once I've got the 2 parts separated, I come back and just buzz each end through. This makes sure that I've got a nice straight and clean reference edge for gluing up. Now, unless you really enjoy buying and changing planer blades, I really recommend just checking any reclaimed timber for metal. I've managed to trash 2 sets of blades in the last 3 years, and it is an absolute pain when you do it. Once we're all happy, it's through the wood muncher and just look at how well some of this reclaimed oak comes up. There are, however, a couple of dowel marks in this from where I've taken it apart, so I chopped those out because there's nothing lets a product down like a cheap piece of pine dowel. once we've added all the white stuff, it's time to put it together. A couple of clamps will hold this nice and firm. This is why it's so important to make sure you get those straight edges first. A couple of seconds in prep will save you hours later on in sanding and planing. A quick buzz over at 120 ensures that everything's nice and smooth. Now another top tip here, if you have an awkward sized board and you need to find the centre, if you turn your tape measure to an angle, find a number that you can easily divide by 2 and then make your mark at that point. No point doing hard maths if you don't have to. Now for the charcuterie board, I have used a template. These are readily available online, or you can make your own on a laser or with MDF like I mentioned earlier on. The difference it makes having some funny shaped boards on your stall is unbelievable. The amount of conversations that get started because of a random piece, but you go on and convert a sale on either that or another piece is unbelievable, and I really can't downplay having enough variety and even some quirky ones that you may never sell, but you might just get some interest on your stall for. All the pieces get a round over on, and then it's time for some food safe oil. Now there is one thing I've learnt with charcuterie boards and making sales at stalls is that the little details matter, so putting a little hook with some of this leather wire through really makes a difference. This costs pennies but doesn't half elevate things. Back to the chopping board, and I've got yet another jig. This is simply a right angled piece of wood with 3 holes in it at different sizes so I can determine where I want the feet. These rubber feet, like all the other things that I buy, I purchase online in the hundreds and they cost pennies each, but just adding a set of feet to a chopping board and lifting it off the work surface doesn't half change the look and the feel for the customer, and they think that they're getting something slightly more premium. And it doesn't take much to see how well oak comes up with a little bit of finish on. These looked absolutely fantastic. They were a statement piece on the day, and I got loads of inquiries and a couple of sales from these chopping boards alone. And as you can see, I've already been to market with these projects. Between the 4 new projects that I took and the existing stock that I had, I made £100 on the day. Not bad for 3 hours work, but more importantly, I got several leads. People that saw my work, wanted something different and asked if I could create this from them. Now, whilst I haven't converted any of these now, last time I did a stall that was similar to this, I got 6 leads and came away with £250 worth of additional business. These opportunities are really not to be scoffed at, and you should take advantage by having some business cards or contact details readily available so you can make sure that you can get your name out there and continue to make sales and products for people. So if you've really enjoyed today's video, I'm going to stick another one up in the top corner for you to watch now. But until the next time I see you, I'm Ross, this is Fat Hog Woodworking, and I hope you have a really good time in your workshop. See you later.